Next to me is the Ford F-150 Lightning, Ford's first ever all-electric pickup truck. It sprints from 0 to 60 faster than a Raptor, has Blue Cruise self-driving, and can tow up to 10,000 pounds. Now, is it worth its lofty $100,000 MSRP? Well, today we're gonna find out exactly that. This is actually the third time that Ford has used the Lightning name. Rewind to the 1990s and early 2000s, they had the SVT Lightning that set the stage for the Ford Raptor. It was an absolute powerhouse. In fact, the early 2000s Lightning had the same supercharged V8 as the 2005 Ford GT. Fast forward to 2023 and Lightning means all electric. Now the standard F-150 Lightning, the base model called the Pro, has 240 miles of range, 462 horsepower, and starts at 56 grand. The car I'm testing today, however, is the top of the line Platinum trim, which starts at $97,000, but it gives you a heck of a lot of cool options, including a larger battery, 300 miles of range. But it also gives you 580 horsepower and 775 pound-feet of torque, meaning this truck can sprint from 0 to 60 in 4 seconds flat and run the quarter mile in 12.7 seconds. That's faster than a non-R Raptor. It can also tow 8,000 pounds as an electric vehicle. From the front, the F-150 Lightning has a really sleek, simplistic design. At nighttime, you particularly notice this wraparound LED bar, which looks really cool. Now, because it's an electric vehicle, there's obviously no functional grille. It's these little diamond patterns, but it also means that because the batteries are below the vehicle and you don't have a massive engine here, you have an enormous front storage area. There's multiple ways to open this front trunk, but there's actually a hidden little button right here. If we go ahead and press that, this is going to open all the way up to reveal 14 cubic feet of storage. It's basically every bit as big as a traditional sedan's rear trunk, big enough where I can fit in it. And you can probably put 1 or 2 sets of golf clubs in here. We've also got some really cool outlets. There are 4 different home wall plugs, as well as USB-C and USB. There's even an emergency release in here because I'm pretty sure I could comfortably fit inside and close this. From the side, the Lightning looks like your standard F-150, save a few key details, one being this beautiful blue Lightning logo, but also being the charge port located on the driver's side of the car. Press that, it reveals the charge port. Interestingly enough, there's actually a matching design on the other side for symmetry, but when you click it, it doesn't actually open. It would be really cool if they added a charge port to the other side as well. That way, if you pull up to a charging station and you're on the wrong side, you can charge it on either side. Around back, once again, we've got this massive wraparound LED bar, which is pretty cool. We've also got this lightning bolt and American flag logo, which I really love. Power folding tailgate. If I press this button right here, that'll fold down. Now the tailgate itself has a series of measuring tools, which you can use on the job site. But if you click this in here, out folds a step and even a handle so that you can climb easier into the back of your F-150 Lightning. Now there also is a series of plugs back here, a whole bunch of different wall outlets and power supplies in case you need to charge things on the job. The first thing I noticed when I hopped in the interior of the F-150 Platinum are the seats. They look really cool, but I was very confused at what this upper pad is, given the fact that it swings around like this. I actually took quite a bit of time to figure out what the heck this thing was for, but it turns out you can actually pull it up slightly and it'll give you a little bit of extra back support in the upper back area. The problem is if you pull it just slightly too far, then it goes all the way back. That's what kept happening. It was going like this and then just flapping back. But I found it actually kind of nice on long trips. There are so many different controls for the seats, different lumbar support options, and you can even control more if you use this massive 15.5-inch display. Of course, the other focal point of the vehicle's interior is this massive 15.5-inch touchscreen. It's got a ton of different controls. I will say it doesn't respond as fast as I would like, especially during Apple CarPlay. The graphics are really cool, but it does lag a little bit. I'm also not a fan of the climate control system. All of them have to use this scroller, but you have to click that first, and then you can control the fan speed. You have to click this first to then change the temperature with this. I kind of wish there were individual controls. But let's go ahead and check out the insane levels of seat controls that this vehicle has. So we're on the driver's side now. We can control different lumbar support, upper, lower, middle, back, but we can also click the massage function and choose between lower rolling, upper rolling, circular cushion, full recovery. I will say the massage feature works really, really well. It also starts massaging your butt and your legs, and it actually gives it some real effort. Instead of a lot of massaging seats, you barely feel it. It's like somebody blowing on your back. This actually feels like a real massage. Now, before we get it out on the road, let's go over some other key features of the interior. Interestingly enough, there's actually 2 glove boxes here. There's an upper glove box right there, and there's a lower glove box down below. I like the fact that we've also got household outlets in here, a bunch of different charge ports. Down here, we have a wireless charging pad, as well as USB-C and USB charging. This thing folds out of the way so that you can extend this and do some work or eat. I'm gonna play with this once again. Massive, massive sunroof. So we'll go right there. And you've got a sunroof that extends the entirety of the vehicle, which is pretty darn cool. Amazing view. Now, with this display, we can also choose between the different driving modes. We're in normal mode right now. Just get a load of the instrument cluster that is fully digital as well. You can customize what is in this center area, but not so much the gauges. Now, if we go over to sport mode right there, this is a slight change to the dash. The biggest change happens in off-road mode. And then there is a tow and haul mode as well. You can go through all of these different tow and haul settings to make sure that your vehicle is set up to tow as best as possible. There's also, which we'll talk about later on, the ability to turn off the sound it makes when it accelerates. You can also turn off one-pedal driving, which basically slows the vehicle down when you let off the accelerator pedal. But if you turn that off, then it'll drive more like a normal vehicle. All right, let's get this thing out on the road and see what it's like to drive. Behind the wheel of the F-150 Lightning now, and immediately it feels beefy. I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe it. When you accelerate in a Tesla, because it feels a little bit plasticky and chintzy and there's no noise whatsoever, the acceleration doesn't have this mass, this grunt behind it. But Ford has developed this really unique propulsion sound that really does give the impression that a massive vehicle is accelerating quickly under electric power. So if we go to the settings right here, you can turn on the propulsion sound. It's on right now. Listen to this. It really is hard to come across on camera, but it's like, it's this really kind of cool futuristic noise. And then if we turn the propulsion sound off, it feels more like a Tesla where the only noises you hear are random interior creaks. Now, there's nowhere near as many interior creaks and rattles as a Tesla, but if you've got anything in the back rattling around, that's the only thing you're gonna hear when you're accelerating without propulsion mode on. So I think that is a really, really cool feature that they've added to the vehicle, and especially being able to turn the sound generator on and off. Now, the other thing that you immediately notice when you're driving the F-150 Lightning is how fast it slows down when you take your foot off the accelerator. I didn't hit the brakes at all, and I'm about to come to a complete stop. They call that one-pedal drive. We're gonna turn off the one-pedal drive and see the difference. All right, I'm letting off the accelerator. We're coasting like a normal vehicle for an extended period of time. It's not slowing down whatsoever. I like the one-pedal driving, but it does take a little bit to get used to. And once again, I love the fact that you can turn it on and off. Now, it is a very big vehicle, and it feels every bit of its 6,700 pound curb weight. It does, however, weigh 300 pounds less than the Rivian. The Rivian has more power, but it does have a weight advantage. Obviously, it's capable off-road as well, and the fact that you can tow up to 10,000 pounds is pretty neat. Now, a lot of times in electric vehicles, you hear a lot of road and tire noise. Because there's no engine note to drown out your surroundings, you hear every little sound around you. Not so much the case in the F-150 Lightning. They've done a really good job of great sound deadening. It's honestly very isolated in here, even on the freeway and at high speeds. You really don't hear all that much road and tire noise, which I very much like. Now, speaking of driving on the freeway, which I think we will head out on the freeway in a bit, there's something called Blue Cruise. Blue Cruise basically gives you the ability to do some form of autonomous driving. It can steer itself in the lanes on the highway, it can speed itself up, it can slow itself down, and it actually works pretty well. I love that feature, particularly when you're driving in traffic or you've got a really long commute. Being able to have that little bit of relaxation and just carefree, knowing that your F-150 is going to take care of all the little steering inputs and braking inputs. I think it's pretty cool. You sit really high up off the ground. I love the view out over the hood. It's a really easy vehicle to drive. It does feel big, however, so it takes a little bit to get used to parking it and maneuvering it in tight spaces. The turning radius isn't the best. I do wish that was a little bit better. The amount of room you have in the back for rear seat occupants is very, very impressive. You can fit 5 full-size adults in this, no problem at all. Now, before we finish this review, we definitely have to do a little 0 to 60 launch control because it is very, very quick. And in fact, the passing power abilities of this car is really where it's most impressive. I believe Motor Trend got a faster 30 to 50 mile an hour time in this than the Rivian, even though that's a quicker accelerating truck, which is pretty darn impressive. Instantaneous throttle response, obviously, with it being an electric vehicle, as a coyote jumps out in front of the road. Very interesting. When you mash the throttle, it does accelerate really quick. It's pretty impressive. It's definitely significantly faster than the Ford Raptor, and it feels that way. The Ford Raptor R is definitely a little bit quicker, and it would give this thing a run for its money for sure, but definitely just accelerating. It's got an impressive amount of torque. I mean, 775 pound-feet is no slouch whatsoever. All right, so let's go ahead and set up a launch control. Brake pressed all the way, and here we go. It's pretty quick. It's impressive, honestly. And that sound, I really like it. Honestly, I've had a great time with the F-150 Lightning. If you're looking for a really cool pickup truck that's electric, this is definitely an awesome option, especially with the Tesla Cybertruck. Who knows when they're going to make that thing? And if you want an alternative to the Rivian, this is a pretty epic truck. I also really like the fact that it looks basically the same as a standard F-150. They didn't need to reinvent the wheel. The F-150 is a great looking truck, and just electrifying it with some subtle differences on the outside was a really good decision. They could have gone crazy with the exterior appearance, although Ford has been killing it with their design language recently with the Chevy Blazer SS, etc. So I do have faith that they would have made a good looking electric pickup truck if they went that wild, oh, it's a green car route. But I like the fact that this doesn't shout, hey, I'm an electric vehicle. It simply goes by under the radar in silence. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.